You destroyed your brother's life, Julian. Don't forget that. I was only 14 when my mother first said those words. Now, I'm 25, and they still echo in my head, whispered behind every denied question, every confiscated paycheck, every closed door in the house I still call home. My name is Julian Patterson. I live in the basement of my parents' house in Spokane, Washington. I've lived here my entire adult life, working 2 jobs, barely scraping by. Every dollar I earn goes to what they call restitution. For my brother Nathan. The accident happened during our annual fall trip to Lake Coeur d'Alene. Nathan had just made varsity football. Our dad, Douglas, was driving. Nathan sat in the passenger seat. I was in the back, rambling like 14-year-olds do, something about a movie, something dumb. It had been raining all morning, and the roads shimmered with danger. I remember the truck in front of us braking suddenly. Then spinning, a metallic crash, screams, silence. When I woke up, Nathan was in surgery. Douglas had bruised ribs and a concussion. And Evelyn, my mother, looked me in the eye and said, "Look what you've done." From that moment, they told me it was my fault. That my voice in the back seat had distracted Douglas. That I stole Nathan's future. That I owed them. And Nathan. So I worked. I handed over every paycheck. First lawn mowing, then dishwashing, then warehouse jobs. Now I work freight at Quenro day by day, stock shelves at night. I pay rent for a basement room, eat dinner alone, and have exactly $17.42 in my wallet. That's a good week. Whenever I asked about my savings or college fund, my mother would respond coldly, "You destroyed your brother's future. Don't ask about yours." That guilt became a leash I wore willingly. Because when your family teaches you that you're a burden, you learn to carry it quietly. But everything began to change the night I overheard Nathan talking to his girlfriend in the kitchen. "My back's been fine for years," he said. "I don't know why they still make Julian pay for everything." I froze in the hallway. Fine for years? What did that mean? Nathan's voice was low, but the words struck me like thunder. Julian's been working himself into the ground for something that wasn't even really his fault. My breath caught in my throat. I stood in the hallway, invisible but fully awake for the first time in years. When I stepped into the kitchen, everything went silent. Nathan avoided my eyes. Evelyn pretended to stir a pot that wasn't on the stove. Douglas slipped outside without a word. That silence screamed the truth louder than anything they could have said. For the next few days, I watched them carefully. Their words didn't change, but their eyes did. Skittish. Guilty. Guarded. And I remembered something strange. After the accident, no one had ever shown me a police report. Just accusations and sorrow wrapped in a guilt trap. So I started digging. I called in sick to both jobs and drove to the Spokane Police Department. I asked for the accident report from October 2013, Highway 95, just outside Coeur d'Alene. I expected red tape. I didn't expect them to hand me a 3-page report within the hour. I sat in my old truck and read it once. Then again. And again. Primary cause of accident. Driver error due to wet road conditions and reduced visibility. Vehicle hydroplaned during routine braking maneuver. No evidence of passenger distraction. No citations issued. My heart pounded so hard I could hear it in my ears. It wasn't me. It had never been me. Everything I'd been told for 11 years crumbled in my hands. I drove home with that report on the passenger seat like a weapon. When I walked into the house, my parents were in the living room. Nathan sat across from them. Perfect. "I went to the police station today," I said. They looked up. "Happened to get a copy of the accident report. Funny thing, it doesn't say a word about me being a distraction." Evelyn's face drained of color. Douglas's lips pressed into a straight line. Nathan leaned forward, curiosity turning to concern. "You don't understand those reports, Julian," Evelyn said quickly. "They're incomplete. We didn't want to traumatize you with the full truth." "The full truth?" I snapped. "Because the report says it was weather and driver error. That's it. No mention of me." Nathan stood up. "Wait. You got the actual report?" "Yeah. Want to read it?" He took it from my hand, scanned the first page. His brow furrowed. "This doesn't say anything about you." "Exactly." Douglas rose to his feet. "You were loud. You were distracting. That officer didn't know everything." Evelyn chimed in. "We protected you from being blamed publicly. We handled it inside the family. That was mercy." I laughed. Harsh and bitter. You didn't protect me. You imprisoned me. You stole from me. You made me hate myself. Their expressions twisted, not with remorse, but defense. They weren't going to admit anything. Not yet. But the cracks had formed. And for the first time, I wasn't the one falling apart. I packed 2 garbage bags with clothes and left that same night. Evelyn shouted after me, "Don't you dare walk away from this family." But I was already gone. Gone to a Travelodge off Division Street with a lumpy bed and peeling paint that somehow felt more like home than my parents' basement ever had. For the first time in 11 years, I had silence without shame. But silence wasn't enough. I needed answers. The next morning, I called Nathan and asked to meet. We sat at a corner table in a downtown coffee shop. He looked tense, like he hadn't slept either. "I've been thinking about the police report all night," he said. "Some things aren't adding up." "Like what?" "Like, I've been working at the airport since 2023. My back's fine. I haven't needed therapy since 2022. But Mom kept saying you were still covering my medical bills." I blinked. "You've had a job?" "Yeah. Good money too. And..." He hesitated. "I've been getting disability insurance payments." "What?" He pulled out his phone and showed me his bank app. Monthly deposits from an insurance company, thousands of dollars over the past few years. They told me to keep collecting it. Mom said it was the least the system owed us. That I should give it to them to manage. I stared at the numbers. Then did my own math. I'd been giving them $2,300 a month between rent and medical support. He'd been giving them over $1,000 more. "That's over $40,000 from you," I whispered. "And probably triple that from me." Nathan's face paled. "Julian. I didn't know. I thought you were helping out while saving to move out. I had no idea they were taking everything." I shook my head. "They've been running a scam. A guilt scam. Telling me you needed constant therapy. Telling you I owed you a future. While using both of us like ATMs." Nathan nodded slowly. "They took your life. And they sold mine." We stared at each other across a small, scratched table. The truth sat between us like a wound. Then Nathan said the words I'd waited 11 years to hear. "Julian, it was never your fault. I remember that day. You weren't doing anything wrong. Dad was going too fast in the rain. He lost control." The world stopped spinning for a moment. I'd carried guilt like a cross on my back. And in one sentence, Nathan cut it loose. I leaned in. "We have to confront them. But this time, not with feelings. With evidence." Agreed. By the end of the day, we had what we needed: bank records, disability forms, police reports, cleared medical records, and years of manipulation documented. This time, when we walked back into our parents' home, we weren't victims. We were witnesses. And the reckoning was just beginning. Evelyn was in the kitchen when we walked in. Douglas joined her a moment later. Their faces stiffened when they saw Nathan beside me, folder in hand. "Julian," Evelyn said tightly. "We thought you'd come to your senses." "I have," I said, setting the folder on the table. "Which is why I'm here." "This is between us," Douglas snapped. "Nathan doesn't need to be involved." Nathan stepped forward. "I'm very involved. Because you've been lying to both of us." He pulled out his bank statement. "You've been taking over $1,000 a month in disability payments from me. Payments I didn't need. Meanwhile, you told Julian he had to cover my medical expenses." I added, "Which didn't exist after 2022. According to your own lie, I've been paying for care that ended 3 years ago." Evelyn turned red. "That money was for the family." Nathan shook his head. "No. It was for you. Your kitchen renovation. Your trips. Dad's truck." I laid the police report on the table. "And this? It proves I didn't cause the accident. You knew that, but you told me I did. You made a child believe he crippled his brother. You built your life on that lie." Douglas stood abruptly. "We did what was necessary to keep this family together." "You broke it to keep yourselves comfortable," I said. "And now it's time to pay it back." Evelyn started crying. "We don't have that kind of money." "Then sell the truck. Sell the house. We want every dollar. And you're going to come clean to everyone. The family. The church. The insurance company." Douglas's voice cracked. "If you do this, you'll destroy this family." "You already did," I said. "All we're doing is uncovering the truth." Nathan added, "You made Julian live in guilt for a decade. You stole his money, his future, and his voice. You don't get to call that family." Evelyn sank into a chair, hands trembling. Douglas looked away. "We'll do what we can," he said finally. "Payments. Apologies." "No," I said, placing a recording device on the table. "You'll do what we demand. Or we go public. And legal." The color drained from their faces. Within weeks, everything fell apart for them. We exposed the lies to relatives, friends, and the insurance company. Restitution payments were ordered. Investigations were launched. They sold the house to repay us. Nathan and I moved to Seattle. He started a new job at the airport. I got hired at a shipping firm. For the first time in over a decade, I kept my own paycheck. Opened a bank account. But close. Laughed. Sometimes healing doesn't look like forgiveness. Sometimes it looks like finally knowing the weight you've carried your whole life was never yours to begin with. And setting it down, for good.